Lockdown is an interesting word. A word that we've all heard more and more as active shooter events have increased over the past few years. What's interesting about the word lockdown is that people have a notion of what that means in terms of, well, everybody just hunkers down and keeps safe. The city of Boston is in lockdown. That doesn't really mean anything unless you have actual procedures and process behind it. When we were running a red ball drill at a corporate headquarters in Boston, we interview particular people so that we get the best information, so that we're preparing ourselves for the red ball drills as we run them afterwards. And as we're walking through, we usually meet with building engineers because they tend to know buildings better than anyone else. And we define certain things for them because we want to understand how the building works and what a lockdown might mean. And so we ask the engineer, like, hey, is there anything here that could, stop an intruder from moving through or, delay them if they were attacking in the facility? And we spent 45 minutes talking about the building dynamics and what they mean. And at the end, we walked past the elevator bank in the lobby, and I noticed on the ceiling by the elevator bank, there were two gaps in the ceiling. And I said, what are those gaps, out of curiosity? He goes, oh, those are the fire gates. And I said, oh, you didn't mention those. What are those? He goes, oh, the security guard at the front desk can hit a button during a fire and it drops the gates and then nobody can use the elevators. And I said, but we've been talking about control mechanisms in the building for an hour. Why didn't you mention those fire gates? And he looks me straight in the eye and he goes, well, because those are for fire. So if you don't have the discussion of process to understand how dynamics of your building can delay an attacker, you might miss certain things. In the same building, as I approached a security guard and pulled the ball and said, hey, you hear about an active shooter next door. Go. Which should implement immediate lockdown, like reports of an active shooter, they're locking down their building. He goes, oh yeah, we're locking down right away. And I say, so tell me what that means. And he takes his badge and he goes, if I swipe this badge on any card reader in this building, the whole building locks down. And I said, define what lockdown means. And he goes, every door in the building locks. I go, every door locks. He goes, every single door locks. And I point to the front of the lobby and I said, out of curiosity, do those revolving doors lock as well? And he stops and he goes, those don't lock. And I go, okay. And I didn't know that. I was just guessing, but I'm like, okay. And I'm like, so how do you solve that problem? How do you lock those doors? He goes, well, it's a little bit of a problem because the key to lock those doors are in the security office, that we don't keep them at our desk. I'm like, all right. Out of curiosity, when I say go, and I pull out a stopwatch, and I say, when I say go ahead, get the key, lock the revolving doors, and go back to your desk. Go. 4.5 minutes later, he had locked the doors and he was behind his desk. Why? Because not only was the key in the security office, it was in a lockbox. He had to unlock the box, take the key out, go to the revolving doors. He was too short to reach the top of the revolving door where it locked, so he needed to get a ladder, locked the revolving doors, and went back to his desk. And I said, why not just keep the key here so that you can quickly lock the doors? And he goes, there's literally no reason. I don't know why. It's because we keep all keys in the security lockbox. I'm like, is there any reason not to keep this key here? He goes, no, it would be fine. I'm like, all right, when I say go now, go ahead and lock the doors. 24 seconds later, he had locked the revolving doors, gotten back to his desk. And as we sat there talking more about lockdown process, we realized if you don't discuss process and what it actually means for lockdown, then you're not in lockdown. And that's what the red ball drills can do, is allow for that live discussion of process, which utilized the knowledge of that security guard who understood that lobby better than we did. So with regards to lockdowns, you have to have a definitive process on what that means and talk through that process to make sure that you're actually securing the building and also providing the kind of oversight you need from a security perspective. That's how the red ball drills work.